on this Tuesday night.
It's like ridiculously expensive as it is.
Eating veggies may be good for your health, but maybe not your wallet. Why your grocery bill is set to rise again.
Clashes in France. The battle against a carbon tax as the world meets to tackle climate change. Where does that leave Canada? And what can you do to make a difference?
And later, a CBC exclusive.
The Met is the largest performing arts organization in the world. So this is like, just thinking about this is a bit...
No opening night jitters, though. One-on-one with the new Canadian conductor. How he wants to make opera cool with the kids. This is the National.
We begin tonight with two stories about your money, how you spend it, how you invest it. North American markets took a nosedive in trading today. The Dow Jones losing 3% of its value. We're going to walk you through what's got investors so spooked in just a moment. But first, to one of our bigger regular expenses. Get ready to shell out more for food in 2019.
Prices going up may make it more difficult for people to eat more healthy, and then they end up going to fast foods.
According to a new study, a family of four will see their annual food bill surge past $12,000. That's an increase of $411. Dairy and baked goods all going up between 2 and 3%. Meat and seafood are the rare exceptions. They should actually cost less for the first time in a decade. But fruits and vegetables are going to cost you more, a lot more. Olivia Stefanovic explains why.
Forced to choose between paying her rent and feeding herself, Bonnie Thibodeau comes here to fill her basket at the food bank with whatever she can.
It's a pain that you can't fill. There's the hunger in your belly, the hunger in your heart.
For Thibodeau, rising food prices leave her in a dire situation.
Why does it have to go up? Checks aren't going up. Minimum wage isn't going up.
The latest Canadian food price report suggests grains, fruit, and vegetables will see the biggest price jump, a rise of up to 6%.
1 in 8 Canadians are food insecure. We need to be putting nutritious, healthy, affordable food on people's plates. That's a problem.
Part of the issue stems from Canada's reliance on the U.S., Mexico, and Central America to farm and ship produce. An El Nino weather event is in the forecast, meaning drier growing conditions and higher prices at checkout. Another reason, more Canadian producers are switching crops, choosing to grow pot instead of food for 30 to 40% the price.
This could be a major food security issue for Canada.
Back at the food bank,
you have grape tomatoes,
there is concern higher prices will mean some families will struggle to get fresh fruits and vegetables.
We want to make sure that every Canadian has the opportunity to get access to great quality food. And so when you see the fresh fruits and vegetables increasing at a dramatic rate, way beyond inflation, then you say, what's going to happen to the individuals most vulnerable?
Children are going in without food, and we can't help them. As much as we try, we can't give them what they need.
Meaning those struggling to get by with very little may have to make do with even less. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Toronto.
I want to move now from your grocery budget to your investments. Take a look at this market nosedive today. Stocks in the U.S. plunged after the opening bell, with the Dow falling by nearly 800 points. To put that in perspective for you, that's about 3% of its value. We've got our senior business correspondent, Peter Armstrong, joining us now to walk us through it. And so, Peter, what's going on here?
It's a bunch of things, but the one commonality to those bunch of things is fear. Fear that maybe this trade war between the U.S. and China is actually getting worse, not better. Fear that maybe this 10-year-long run of growth in the markets has kind of run its course and begun to wind down, which would lead to the broader fear of an economic slowdown. And into all of that fear today comes Donald Trump tweeting about China and trade and tariffs, saying that he's bringing in all this money through these tariffs. The problem with that is twofold. One, we know it's American companies that are paying, not other Chinese companies that are paying those tariffs. And two, that he might be exacerbating that trade war and putting a bigger rift into that relationship. and maybe misunderstanding how the mechanics of that main tool that he's trying to use in that fight could be. So fear and then some weird movements on the bond markets really set the stage for a broader cycle.
You mentioned one of the fears, though, being of a broader economic slowdown. I mean, how much do we read into today's dip? I mean, I've seen more than one analyst float the R word.
Recession, for sure. But let's take a step back and say economic growth is actually going pretty well. Here in Canada and around the world, the Alberta oil crisis and GM cuts notwithstanding, things are looking pretty good. On the other side, look at the markets. Yes, it's been a topsy-turvy year. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average over the past year. And you look at that, that looks like a market that doesn't know what it wants to do, but we're actually still up on the year. Up, not very much, 1 or 2%, but it looks like an uncertain market. It looks like an uncertain time. That's kind of where we are.
Peter Armstrong, a lot of material to get through, but you did it in a very short amount of time. Thanks very much.
Glad to do it.
The federal government has a warning for drivers across this country. A crackdown on drunk driving, impaired driving is fast approaching, including mandatory breath tests if you are pulled over. The tough new laws will be in place 2 weeks from today, just in time for the holiday season. Evan Dyer has more on the changes and why some think they won't stand up in court.
Just doing a ride spot check tonight. Any alcohol for you at all?
No.
No?
That question may soon be irrelevant. In 2 weeks, police will be able to ask anyone they pull over for a roadside test, whether they have reason to suspect drinking or not.
If you get behind the wheel of your car while impaired, you will be caught.
Bill Blair says the new law is necessary because drunk drivers are getting crafty.
If they simply deny having consumed alcohol, or if they disguise their breath, or the police are unable to detect the smell of alcohol, then the police cannot form reasonable suspicion in order to require the driver to submit to an alcohol screening test.
A welcome change for Greg Thompson. His son died in a crash in 1999. The teen behind the wheel was impaired.
This is the most significant step I've seen taken in this country, and it's a leap. It is a huge, huge leap.
Hey, how are you this morning?
But is it constitutional? The Canadian Bar Association argues it's likely to lead to the conviction of drivers who are not really impaired. The new law includes tests for cannabis, now legal, that even the government itself concedes could catch unimpaired people. Defense lawyer Kyla Lee specializes in impaired driving cases.
Nobody can feel safe anymore on the roads. The police can stop you at random. They can demand that you provide a sample at random. And there are going to be a lot of people who are wrongfully arrested.
The opposition isn't keen either.
It's a serious infringement on individual liberty. It seems to be targeted really at the type of people who might have 1 or 2 beers over chicken wings with their friends.
And there are concerns about how police will use these powers and who might be targeted.
In some cities, it will be Aboriginal peoples who will be in the eyes of the police. In some other neighborhoods and other cities, it would be people of color.
The Liberal government says if the powers are used in a biased way, then the stop won't be lawful and the results won't count. But the onus is on the person stopped to prove they were targeted unfairly, which usually involves proving what was in the officer's mind, a task that lawyers say in practice is nearly impossible. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
As the world gathers in Poland tonight to talk about climate change solutions, there was one story that seemed to be on everyone's minds. After weeks of protests, some of them violent, France is delaying its planned carbon tax. The situation has become the biggest crisis that Emmanuel Macron has faced since he became president. The CBC's Thomas Dagla has more on the government's U-turn.
This is what France has come to. Clashes today between police and high school students, inspired by a wave of protests across the country. Near Toulouse, a school was set on fire. Even at the prestigious Sorbonne University in Paris, students set up a blockade today and aired their grievances. We stand with the yellow vests, he says, because we can relate to their fight. Yes, those yellow vests. The protesters in fluorescent workwear who started by campaigning against fuel tax hikes, but whose movement devolved into ugly riots. Troublemakers threw rocks, torched cars, even defaced the world-famous Arc de Triomphe. Lower the taxes and let us live, she says. For President Emmanuel Macron, it signaled his biggest crisis yet, vowing not to give in and to push through his eco-friendly plan. Today, though, a concession.
Cette colère, il faudrait être sourd.
You'd have to be deaf or blind to not hear the anger, Prime Minister Edouard Philippe said, announcing the tax hikes would be suspended for 6 months. It's a win for the streets, sure, but unlikely to fully calm the rage. The Yellow Vest movement has grown to encompass wider concerns, with the president focused on global ideals and lower earners feeling left out. The government's image may yet bear this stain for some time. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, London.
All of this couldn't be inspiring for anyone at the climate negotiations in Poland. Today, delegates from nearly 200 countries began hammering out the rules on measuring and tracking emission reductions. And if you're wondering where Canada fits in that bigger picture, here's Nell Ayed.
If Canada is to leave a mark on the world's battle plan for fighting climate change, this is the team working out the details. And the late nights have already started. With the fanfare mostly over, the negotiators now steal the show. 200 countries writing an operating manual together for a deal that already needs an update. Most signatories, including Canada, are behind on keeping the promises they made in Paris. Canada's promise? To cut greenhouse gas emissions 30% below 2005 levels by 2030. The minister insists commitment to that target still stands.
Well, look, I mean, it is a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge for every single country. We are a natural resource-based economy, and we need to make sure we have policies in place. But key policies like putting a price on pollution will have the impact of reducing emissions.
Canada's ambassador for climate change, Patricia Fuller, says other countries here are looking to Canada as a leader on how to implement green change at home. But they're not blind to the contradictions.
The world sees that there's this kind of internal conflict in the country between a desire to be leaders on climate change and an ongoing investment in the oil and gas sector. And that's really a difficult conversation that Canada is going to have.
And this is very much in line.
There is that other difficult conversation, ambition. Canada is open to exploring deeper emissions cuts, but likely not before yet another UN summit on this next September.
Consultation with Indigenous people.
Watching all this are several young Canadians who've come to take a seat at that table. They too have a few words of advice.
We need to make sure that youth have a clear and transparent voice and that we are being heard in decisions that are being made for us.
So domestically, I want to see Canada raise their ambition on climate change. We know that we have 12 years to take pressing action before runaway climate change takes effect.
In being protective of the years that stretch ahead, they say they're in the majority. Nala Ayed, CBC News, Katowice, Poland.
Here are some of the other stories we're following tonight on The National. Widespread power outages across Saskatchewan today, and the provincial power utilities apparently not sure what caused it.
We are in the sky and on the ground looking to see what sort of damage might have been caused to our equipment out there and really narrow down the cause of this. That's one thing we don't have at this is an exact cause.
At this stage, most of the city of Regina has had its power restored. Exact numbers of how many customers are still affected haven't been made public. Earlier today, Sask Power described it in the tens of thousands. The remaining outages are in the southeast part of the province, and it's not known yet when it will be restored. Now to a developing story south of the border. U.S. President Donald Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, lasted less than a month in the job, but the mystery around what he knows and what he's told investigators looking at Trump and Russia has lasted more than a year. Well, tonight we have our first solid clues. U.S. Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller releasing a court document detailing Flynn's crimes in cooperation with the probe. Washington had been on edge waiting for this until it was released late this evening. Keith Bogue has more. And Keith, first of all, what does this document reveal?
It reveals less than was hoped. Let me just show it to you. You can see how much of the document is redacted. All of these things are details about the information that Michael Flynn has provided the special counsel, but that are not going to be made public at this time because the investigation is ongoing. So the important message out of the document turns out to be in the first part, where there's a recommendation for sentencing, that is that Michael Flynn should receive a sentence at the lower end of the sentencing scale, and that should even include no incarceration time at all. So what we can draw from all of that together is that Michael Flynn has given the special counsel what the special counsel wanted, that the special counsel is pleased with his cooperation, that the information he has provided has been useful in furthering the investigation, that the investigation is continuing, but even though it's continuing, the special counsel has decided that the time for sentencing is appropriate because of the value of the information that he's got so far.
And so some people, Keith, tonight just a little bit more nervous as the investigation perhaps moves a little closer to them. What sort of clues do we have about what's coming next?
Well, those who might know what Michael Flynn could have told the special counsel should read into this that he did tell them just that information. Next thing we're waiting for is at the end of the week we'll see some details about what Paul Manafort lied to the special counsel about that led to them blowing up their cooperation agreement. The special counsel has promised details on that. We'll see how much he gives, but it is possible he could tell quite a story.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Okay, now to the cultural climate and how it has changed in the era of Me Too. Some of Canada's major radio networks are excluding a seasonal favorite from their holiday playlist because some people say the song promotes sexual assault. In Baby It's Cold Outside, a man tries to convince his date to stay inside where it's warm, but that's all become too hot for Rogers, Bell Media, and CBC Music. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson looks into why.
I really can't stay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Baby, it's cold outside.
It was a song written in the 1940s by a husband to perform with his wife. You know the words, but what do they really mean? Some people think this line is about a woman being drugged.
Hey, what's in this
No
drink?
cash to be had out there.
This weekend, a Cleveland radio station pulled it off the air, citing the Me Too movement, and others followed.
I was happy. I feel like it doesn't have a place anymore.
I really can't stay.
Maybe I'm fine with that.
Singer-songwriter Lydia Liza found the song so problematic, she recorded an updated consensual version in 2016.
I didn't realize it was creepy for a long time until we started to put a language to the feelings of like women coming forward with their stories.
But this jazz musician thinks the original is fine just as it is.
I thought of it as a playful thing, because that's what it was when it was intended to be, was a parlor song where people would sit down and sing the lyrics and sort of play along.
And some say the critics missed the original point of the song. The woman is afraid, not of her date, but of society's judgment of her sexual behavior.
I ought to say no, no, no,
Mind
sir.
if I move in closer?
At least I'm gonna say that I tried.
What's the sense
I
of
can
her?
definitely see that in the context of that generational time. But now we're having too many important conversations to allow that to be an excuse for what we're trying to accomplish.
That means a roster of old favorites, from the Rolling Stones to Elvis, could now be seen as suspect. This debate is bound to outlast the winter. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
And still ahead tonight on The National, the Canadian companies challenging the supermodel stereotype, why body diversity is proving to be profitable.
And as the world grapples with what to do about climate change, David Common looks at the things you can do, from the way you invest to what you eat.
And a little later, a Montreal conductor ascends to the New York Metropolitan Opera. My exclusive interview with Yannick Nézet-Séguin.
You ever get tired?
As everyone.
No, I don't think you do.
I do have an energy level above the average. Let's put it this way.
This is ice cream, this is frozen dessert. This is juice, this is not juice. It's not me saying this is the law. There are literally thousands of legal definitions for foods, what you can call them and what you can't. There are three main reasons why food laws are important: harmonization for trade, standardization, and clarity for consumers. Here's what you need to know. If it's called ice cream, it's made with butterfat. Take that and replace it with palm oil, which is cheaper, and what you've got is frozen dessert. Chocolate must be made with cocoa butter. Something cheaper like wax or oil, and what you've got may be chocolate-y, but it's not chocolate. Juice is made of fruit. Though legally, it also contains sugar, preservatives, and sometimes flavor. If the label says drink, it only has to have 25% juice to make the cut. If it says cocktail, beverage, or punch, probably even less. Chicken breast, that's just chicken breast, right? If it says seasoned chicken breast, it has to contain chicken breast, but it can also contain binders, fillers, starches, and even soy. Most of the food laws are really specific, but some of them are weirdly loose. Legally, Canada just doesn't care about peanut butter. In the United States, it has to be at least 90% peanuts to get the name. Here at home, companies don't even have to disclose the peanut percentage, which is kind of nuts. But then there's jam. In Canada, you can't even call it jam if there's apple or rhubarb in it. Does that mean there's no such thing as rhubarb jam? Somebody better tell Grandma. We're also very specific about ketchup. Ketchup can contain tomatoes, vinegar, salt, sugar, seasonings, preservatives, and colors, and nothing else. So you could put some onion powder in there because it's a seasoning, but you try to put some real onions in your ketchup, and what you've got there is a ketchup-style condiment. Sometimes when a food law is really specific, it can cause problems. I'm referring, of course, to the Jamaican beef patty wars of the 1980s. Under the law, a patty is a really specific thing. A Jamaican beef patty doesn't fit the definition. So the Jamaican community took the government to court. They went to food court.
Said I'd catch you if you fall, and if they laugh, then
This year's Victoria's Secret fashion show was controversial even before it was broadcast. More and more people are criticizing the company's approach to marketing because they say diverse body types should be celebrated, not ignored. That means enough with the stereotypically skinny runway model. But here's the thing, investors aren't happy either. The value of the company's stock has been falling for months, which raises the question, what is the connection between body diversity and profit? We asked Diane Buckner to find out.
So Charlotte's an 8.
Joanna Griffiths and her marketing team have a job to do.
So this is the collection behind here that we're going to be shooting.
Griffiths founded Knixwear, a brand of comfortable lingerie, in 2013.
I'm in favor.
Today's task? Choose who will model the product in an upcoming advertising campaign.
So Caitlin's posted about us a ton. She could be good.
The pictures aren't of professional models, though. They're all Knixwear customers. The line has only ever used regular-looking women in its promotions, and it's worked. Sales this year will total $35 million, double what they were last year.
Really want to create a brand that showcases women for the diverse, fantastic humans that they are.
Embracing all body shapes and sizes isn't just for niche brands, though. Pop star Rihanna has launched her own line of lingerie with a wildly diverse fashion show.
I already like who I am.
Third Love of San Francisco has built its business by offering an expanded range of bra sizes.
I like that my curves have curves.
And earlier this year, American Eagle's Aerie brand ran a campaign using models with disabilities.
When you put a real person out, and people could go, wow, that person's got courage, that person's got confidence, that person has conviction. That halo extends to the brand. Now she nods as if she's ready, lights go on.
Advertising executive Tony Chapman worked on the Real Beauty campaign for Dove soap, which launched in 2004.
Talked to women all over the world. Only 2% of the women thought they were beautiful. Yeah, now they take it and put it in Photoshop.
By revealing how the fashion industry manipulates images and focusing on women's self-esteem, Dove saw an almost instant 400% increase in sales.
Diversity is playing to in the sense that it says I'm authentic, I'm real, I understand what's going on in this community, I'm part of it.
But it seems Victoria's Secret didn't get the memo.
Every single year around this time ahead of the fashion show, I'm like, this is going to be the year that they start including women of different sizes in their shoots, becoming more inclusive. but every year they continuously decide not to.
Victoria's Secret stock has been falling. It's down 40% from last year. Sales are slowing, and the CEO is out after only 2 years. The company still sells the majority of all lingerie around the world. The question is, will it continue to do so without embracing a more realistic range of body shapes? Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
Ahead tonight on The National, the little boy who fought City Hall for the right to throw a snowball at his brother. His victory is our moment of the day.
That's my kind of kid. First, though, it's one of music's greatest stages, and tonight, the New York Metropolitan Opera has a new conductor, a Canadian. My exclusive interview with Yannick Nézet-Séguin is next.
I think opera is cool. I think it can become cooler. It can be hip, and the way to do it is interesting.
Thousands of people from all over Saskatchewan and the world flocked to this little beach in the middle of the prairies. Hotels, rooming houses, cafes, and restaurants buzzed with tourists. They came to bathe in the salty water of Little Manitou Lake, known for its healing powers. At one time, Manitou Beach offered visitors 2 large saltwater pools to dip in. And, of course, they came to dance. Back in the day, the community had several dance halls to let loose in. Today, one remains. Current owner Millie Struby fondly remembers Danceland packed with people.
I think the times that this place was full was exciting. We had polka fests where we were putting people back of the stage sitting on carpets because we didn't have any more chairs.
Millie and her husband Arnie bought Danceland in 2001. They knew it well, playing in the house band, but the idea came unexpectedly.
My husband had this dream, and he woke up one morning and he said, "We're buying Danceland." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, we're going to buy Danceland and operate it."
The Strubys are Danceland's 7th owners. It was built in 1930 by Wellington White. Historians say 84,000 feet of lumber and train cars brimming with horsetail and mane hair were shipped in to build it. These layers of hair still sit under the dance hall's original oak floor, which isn't nailed down, but floats. The hair cushions the floor, sinking and springing back with each step, ideal for dancing. Dancing brought the Armstrongs together. Their flirty encounters at weddings led them to waltzing through 34 years of marriage. After celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary here, they decided to move to Manitou Beach, and Danceland was a big part of that decision.
We met so many wonderful people here from the beach and from all over the world, basically.
Over the years, the couple have been involved with fundraising through Friends of Danceland. The group hopes to save the historic building from Manitou Lake's rising waters. They say at least $175,000 is needed to replace the pilings under the building, and it needs to be done soon.
We're looking at a big sum of money to make sure that Danceland is here for the next 90 years, for the next generation.
The constant struggle against flooding and need for repairs is something Millie and Arnie Struby have dealt with often over the past 18 years.
Dancing has never died. It might change. They might have a different style of dance, a different style of music, but I foresee dancing going on forever. And the next generation will just utilize the building, this is just a building, for their purposes.
Recently, Saskatoon band The Garys rented the space for a benefit concert. The trio of sisters invited the Karpinka brothers, Wolf Willow, and Ellen Fraze and the Hot Toddies to play Manitou Boogaloo.
I heard a rumor last time I was there that people have seen Elvis Presley's ghost in Danceland before.
And while the king may not have been here, young bands are eager to play the spot. And, of course, it will always be a great place to polka. Madeline Kotzer, CBC News, Manitou Beach, Saskatchewan.
A powerful moment today in Washington. Former U.S. Senator Bob Dole helped from his wheelchair to stand and salute the casket of the former President George H.W. Bush, a fellow World War II veteran. Members of the Bush family paid another visit today ahead of the funeral service tomorrow. Former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney will be among those to give a eulogy.
So I promise you today, this is the very best deal for the British people. I ask you to back it in the best interests of our constituents and our country. And with my whole heart, I commend this motion to the House.
It was a tough day for the British Prime Minister, Theresa May. Her government has been found in contempt of Parliament. The reason, not publishing the full legal advice around the Brexit deal. And this is just the start of a 5-day debate on the proposed withdrawal agreement. MPs will decide whether to reject or accept it next Tuesday.
When it's my opportunity to talk, I say, well, there's this big internal trade issue that we have about getting our product from one province to another.
The Alberta Premier Rachel Notley calling on the Prime Minister to address what she's describing as an oil price crisis. Notley and Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe sent a joint letter to Justin Trudeau calling for the oil price differential to be on the agenda at the upcoming Prime Minister's meeting. The Prime Minister's office says the issue will be discussed as part of jobs and trade.
Well, tonight, a Canadian conductor is scaling the heights of the music world. His name is Yannick Nézet-Séguin, and his work has been described as knocking at the gate of heaven. Tonight in New York, he makes his official debut as the new music director of the Metropolitan Opera. He's conducting Verdi's La Traviata. The title literally means fallen woman, and here's why that's a bit ironic. Nézet-Séguin's big splash is happening tonight ahead of schedule, precisely because a man fell from grace. The Metropolitan Opera in New York is one of the world's grand stages. Regal, legendary, prestigious. But in recent years, the Met has faced its share of struggles, most notably a scandal involving its since-fired music director.
The group fired James Levine after a sexual misconduct investigation.
The Met required a new direction. Enter Yannick Nézet-Séguin, a Montreal-born star of the classical music world. The 43-year-old Canadian maestro is considered a music visionary. He was primed to take the role in 2020, but with the need for fresh leadership, he was thrust into the job of a lifetime 2 years earlier than expected, becoming just the third music director in the Met's illustrious history. He's known for his energy, exuberance, and connection to his orchestra.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcoming us to your new home.
Yes.
I met up with him in New York.
Nice to meet you, finally.
Yes.
I've read and heard a lot about you. You're sort of you're a phenomenon.
Oh, I don't know. I have a pretty interesting life.
You do.
And it's true that I'm one of those people who can really say that I'm living my dream.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I'm lucky.
Watching you is quite fascinating. I mean, I've watched some videos, but it's different to see you in person. The way you are, it's not just a guy waving a stick. You are sort of, your body is taken over by it. Lots of emotion. What's happening inside here when you're doing that?
So the philosophy for me is that I should, as a conductor, express the music with every way possible. The stick and the hands is, of course, the most common way or maybe the clearest way, but the emotion have to come from the face, from the mouth, the whole body. I'm, some people would say, diminutive stature. So I have to also take more space. Yes. I never restrain myself to a place where I say, oh, you need to hold back. I'm less animated than I was 10 years ago, but that's just experience and trust and self-confidence and maturity. Maybe some people think that we take our stick and we look in the mirror, and we try if it looks good or clear, and it never should happen. It should be just the mind.
Well, that's what you look like when you were 10 on that video that everyone has seen. It does look like you were pretending to be what you thought a conductor was.
Don't you think I didn't change? When I look at this, I say, hey, I'm doing the same thing
The
now.
facial expressions are very similar. You said once that this job was almost too big for one person.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you still think that now that you're sort of in the midst of it?
No.
Well, it's too late now anyway.
Exactly. I want to make it work. No, the Met is the largest performing arts organization in the world.
Yes.
So this is like, just thinking about this is a bit, so at the end of the day, the conductor is the only constant presence which has to make it happen together in the moment. And this is the way I see it and I conceive my job. And this is why maybe I felt at some point this was maybe too much, but now I realize that this is also plays into my strengths, let's put it this way, because the thing I like the most about my profession of conductor is to bring people together and make them give their best.
So there was an interesting moment today when I was here for the rehearsal where you had 10 minutes left and you stopped and you said to the pit, listen, I have this crazy idea, I want to bring you all up on stage. And I watched you, but I also watched them, and they all sort of went, what? Is this guy crazy? That's unusual, clearly, because of their reaction. What does that tell us about the kind of person you are, that you want to do that?
I think there's such a collective effort in this that it's my role to feature that aspect of the teamwork even more, especially from the orchestra. And this orchestra, I consider it the best opera orchestra in the world. And I want them to feel that they are really part. And I had people crying after this, coming to me saying, we're so moved that you think of doing this for us. And this is a learning process, I think, of my leadership, but also the way that they feel that they can take their own place within a huge organization like the Met is.
Well, you also have said that there had been a culture of you don't say anything to the maestro. You don't question him, he's in charge, which seems a very dated way of doing business, but obviously was still around. So when you told people, yes, you can call me maestro, that's okay, but this is a collaboration. Has there been pushback in any of the places where you've been?
There never was any pushback. I have to respect, though, that you can't have the people change a culture overnight. And, you know, being collaborative doesn't mean not being clear in what we request. If you had been to rehearsal yesterday, you would have seen maybe a sharper version of me where I needed to be much more assertive about, hey,
I heard about it from some of the floor hands, actually. No, I'm serious. And they said it was the first time they had heard you be a little sharp, but they actually respected it.
Yeah, you know, one has to still be in charge, but in charge respectfully.
Do you feel a pressure in this position that is sort of apart from just the title? There are financial issues at the Metropolitan. I wouldn't say, you know, young people are rushing for opera tickets. There is the issue around the previous conductor and sort of how do you redefine things after that, regardless of how it ends. There's a bit of a redemption story for the Opera House there too. Do you feel that pressure?
I'm certainly not oblivious to that pressure. But here with the Met, it's a question of, yes, healing process somehow with certain traumatic experiences. But it's also a question of relevance, I think, is more the connection. The connection of the house with every inhabitant of New York It's also the way we welcome young people, or regardless of age, just people from certain communities or people who feel that it's not for them.
Yeah, it's not accessible.
Right, and it's not true in a way. It's people can go to the opera without knowing a word from the story.
The Met is working hard to open doors to new audiences, from commissioning operas written by women to bringing opera into the classroom. The question now, can opera become cool for a new generation?
I think opera is cool. I think it can become cooler. It can be hip. And the way to do it is interesting. I think making it known, making it accessible, and when I say accessible is more people feeling welcome.
Yes.
But never, never, ever dumbing it down. You know, just that is how it's going to stay and become more hip.
What should Canadians that are watching, who you might get to New York, might get a chance to see you here, maybe not, what should they make of you sort of taking the world over?
I wouldn't be here if it were not because of who I am as a Canadian and the deep values we have. I think this way of approaching people with a lot of open mind to everyone else's opinion and input, but also the need for creativity, the need and the encouragement when you grow up in Montreal, as I did. And if you're different at 22 and you want to do Beethoven a different way and Verdi a different way, it is not discouraged, it's encouraged.
You ever get tired?
As everyone.
No, I don't think you do.
I do have an energy level above the average. Let's put it this way.
You got a little Energizer Bunny thing going on.
Yeah, Energizer Bunny, that's me.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, that was a really cool interview, Rosie. And it's true that, I mean, as a musician, the conductor is your conduit to every other musician in the room, right?
Yeah, and because of who he is, and you saw friendly and outgoing and young, he's really managed to break down some barriers. And I should say, really highlight of my job, I got to sit in the Met and watch the Traviata being rehearsed.
Right.
It was like mind-blowing.
Wow.
But if other people don't get there, because I realize not everyone has my cool job, you can actually go to Cineplex as of December, I think, 15th or something. You just get to sit in a movie theater and pretend you were at the rehearsal just like I was.
Huh, you know.
Up next on The National, as the world meets in Poland to tackle climate change, we asked David Common to explore some simple solutions here at home, right down to what you eat.
I took the ham out, I took the cheese out, and then I'm just left with the tomato and the lettuce. Is that okay?
Apart from the taste,
The Arrow 1, Canada's first supersonic fighter plane, is ready to fly after 5 years of work and planning by 5,000 people at Avro of Canada near Toronto. Now, $200 million and 17,000 blueprints later, the plane taxis out for flight testing with Chief Test Pilot Jan Zurakowski at the controls.
7.8 for takeoff instructions. Roger, thank you.
The two chase planes are off first, one a CF-100 and the other a Sabre. The CF-100 is piloted by a wartime squadron mate of Jan Zurakowski, Svant Potoki. On the ground, all is tense and ready. In the cockpit, the pilot eases the throttles forward and the Arrow starts down the runway. The plane roars off the ground on her maiden flight. The Arrow rockets skyward, pushed by American-made turbines to generate twice the power of the Queen Mary's engines.
elevator is about 3 degrees or 4 degrees up as far as I can see from here. Ailerons are nice and fresh.
The Arrow type of fighter will later be equipped with Canadian Iroquois jet engines, the most powerful in the world when they're available. The marriage between this radically new design in planes and the Iroquois engine is expected to make the Arrow one of the world's fastest operational aircraft, with speeds of twice that of sound.
From spot. The rudder is whipping about, I should say, about an inch.
The Arrow has 38,000 parts and a special refrigeration plant to keep the pilot from frying at supersonic speeds.
The engines are behaving quite nicely. They are occasionally giving you a bit of a black puff of smoke coming out of the gas, but otherwise I can see there is no problem. Alarm now. The probe here seems to be quite normal here. No problem.
The Arrow checks out in its first airborne test, but only a small fraction of the plane's potential has been tested. Over many months to come, the plane will ease up to and over the sound barrier and further beyond with the mighty Iroquois turbine. Though the Arrow is a fighter, it has been designed with a bomb bay that will hold a nuclear warhead weapon. It also has reserve fuel tanks that will give a long range on a combat mission. How long is not yet specified. A new weapon of defense has been added to the arsenal of the Western world.
As we told you earlier, world leaders are in Poland this week for the Climate Change Summit, talking about dealing with it on a global scale. But when it comes to thinking locally, what kind of climate impact are we making day to day? There are lots of studies out there on how you can shrink your carbon footprint. And tonight, David Common looks at some of the science that may help you make those everyday choices.
I bet you've questioned how much of a difference these things really make when it comes to reducing your carbon footprint. But what can you do now to actually help? Here's an example you might not have thought of to sink your teeth into. Hungry? Well, whatever you eat has a carbon footprint. You probably heard beef has one of the biggest, though most of us don't have one ingredient meals. Take, for instance, a lunchtime staple, the sandwich. Of course, a UK study actually looked at the carbon footprints of sandwiches, and Adisa Adzapagic is one of the authors. Adisa, what are the sandwiches we should avoid?
Well, the sandwich that you should avoid is ham and cheese, and also a breakfast sandwich which contains bacon, sausage, and an egg.
Okay, so what if I suddenly went vegan and I took the ham out, I took the cheese out, and then I'm just left with the tomato and the lettuce? Is that okay?
Apart from the taste, that should be okay, but it depends how tomato is grown. So in the UK, for example, most of the tomato is grown in greenhouses, and that requires energy, which means that the carbon footprint of tomato is really high. Oh. So just to give you an example, 1 kilogram of tomatoes would have 10 kilograms of CO2 equivalent emitted into the atmosphere. So that is 10 times more than its own weight. But if we imported tomato from Spain, where it's grown in open fields, then the carbon footprint is lower, even when you account for the transportation.
So what can Canadians take away from your study?
We have a choice in terms of the type of food that we eat. So generally less meat. And if you make a sandwich at home, you will normally halve the carbon footprint of your sandwich.
If you do buy, packaging is a consideration, and you never guess what the best one is when it comes to carbon footprints. It's styrofoam of all things. It's lightweight, easy to produce, easy to transport. A University of Manchester study says it has 1.5 times less carbon footprint than aluminum, 3 times less than clear plastic. If you move into something like paper, well, that's okay so long as you actually compost it. Now, these are numbers specific to the United Kingdom, but reusable is always good so long as you reuse it. Don't lose your container. You got to use something like this 18 times to equal the carbon footprint of that styrofoam. If you move on to glass, hey, that's great, but you got to reuse it even more because of how carbon intensive it is to produce something like this. There's one really big way to reduce our own carbon footprint and maybe make a bit of money at the same time, talking about your investments. So one study from CoPower shows the average Canadian portfolio is connected to more carbon emissions than anything else we do in our daily lives, even driving. And so a $10,000 investment, for instance, here at the Toronto Stock Exchange, could be connected to 800 kilograms of CO2 each year. That's the equivalent of driving 3,000 kilometers in a car, tumble drying 332 loads of laundry, or eating 264 quarter-pounder hamburgers. Okay, whoa, let's hit the rewind button. How is it that investing has a carbon footprint? Man with the answers today is Tim Nash, and you are an investment coach, and you're also the founder of Good Investing. So explain this to me. How is it the money that I invest has a carbon footprint?
Right. Well, you invest that money in companies, and those companies emit carbon emissions. So just like you share in their profits, you also share in their carbon footprint.
Okay, I get how you say you're partially responsible, they're emitting, you have a share in that. And as Canadians, we invest trillions of dollars a year. But what about the small guy, the normal guy?
When it comes to regular investors like you and I, right, the first step you're going to want to take is to speak to your financial advisor, whoever you're working with, and ask some tough questions. See whether they have socially responsible investments available.
But am I giving up returns by going with one of those?
Not at all. All the studies have shown that you can do just as well, if not a little bit better, by investing in companies that are reducing their carbon emissions and by getting fossil fuels out of your portfolio, what we call divestment. We've started to see the smart money move in this direction. Canadian Pension Plan, Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, they're all moving in this direction. What I'm worried about is that if you own the companies that have those high carbon emissions, they're not going to be as profitable in the future, and regular investors might end up suffering as the broader economy moves in this direction.
Look where the puck is going, not where it is.
That's it.
So those are just a few things that you can do to reduce your own carbon footprint. They're not necessarily the biggest ones out there, but even the small ones, taken collectively by all of us, can really make a difference. David Commons, CBC News, Toronto.
And if you still have questions, and I've got a couple, David is doing a Facebook Live Q&A tomorrow afternoon. He'll be joined by an expert to talk about more daily choices to reduce your carbon footprint. For example, is it better to wash dishes by hand or load up the dishwasher? I like that question. So check out our Facebook page tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can also watch the Q&A on our YouTube channel and on Twitter.
I really hope it's the dishwasher. Okay, our moment is next. We go to Colorado, where a 9-year-old boy successfully overturned a nearly century-old law banning one of the most innocent of things.
Research suggests that a lack of exposure to the outdoors can lead to obesity, ADHD, anxiety, and depression. Kids want to have snowball fights without breaking the law.
Sounds like you just changed the law, buddy.
The days of playing closies and topsies against the wall are pretty much over. The sports card industry has changed dramatically over the years. Some say the fun is gone. I remember 20 years ago, I didn't think twice about whipping a card against the wall. But now people are encasing them in plastic, putting them under glass, and locking them up in vaults.
They're all maroons. There's Lionel Conacher, the big train, and Mike. They call me the #1 world collector in cards and that. The great John L. Sullivan.
At 53, Angelo Savelli has seen the industry change from a boyhood passion to a billion-dollar industry that's losing all of its innocence.
I love the Euros at that time, especially the Lionel Conacher, the big train. That was something that I wanted to have because they were idols of mine, and I never looked into it as the money. And there's not too many people out there that want it because they were great. They want it because it's worth a lot of money. This is the laundry room where I put a lot of the cards that my wife's been crying about.
Savelli started collecting cards when he was only 5. He admits it was an obsession that became even worse as he grew older, an obsession that almost had his wife pack up the kids and leave him a number of times.
She's often said that I was nuts, a lot of time, to get rid of it and throw it out every day. Every day she used to always come up with things like that.
It hasn't been easy over the years with this collection because there's been a lot of family money go into the cards. And here, you know, like I'm getting ready, he's getting ready to give me a punch. But the truth's the truth. But
it says on it, Bobby O'Reilly.
What are some of the funny stories? When I came home from grocery shopping, and here he sold the family car, and I had nowhere to go. I had no car to go grocery shopping anymore. And then another time I found out about the fridge and stove. Well, that just took the cake. I thought it's either stay here or get out. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do.
The only Canadian heavyweight champion of the world.
Savelli has no idea how many cards he has, nor does he know how much he spent over the years on his collection. But whatever it is, it probably doesn't come close to what some of his cards are worth. His prized possession being a 1905 card of the Pittsburgh Pirates' great shortstop, Honus Wagner. It's so rare, only 6 people are known to have one, including hockey superstar Wayne Gretzky, who, with Argo owner Bruce McNall, paid about $450,000 for it. But Savelli says he's not about to give his up.
That there I paid $1,500 with a group of probably another 300-400 cards that were included with this. There was Ty Cobbs, Christy Mathewson, Walter Johnson, Cy Young.
It all started with a school trip to City Hall. That's where Dane Best first discovered that throwing a snowball was against the law in his small town. And worse, that he'd been unknowingly participating in an illegal activity for the past 8 winters. It's a hardened criminal. Until now, the 9-year-old petitioned to City Council, presented his arguments, and won. So we caught up with him today, back at City Hall, and that is our moment of the day.
We are actually at the City Hall.
I'm proud of myself. The mayor signed it, and I did a bunch of interviews. Yeah, I got to stamp it. I was just nervous because I was talking in front of a lot of people. Research suggests that a lack of exposure to the outdoors can lead to obesity, ADHD, anxiety, and depression. Kids want to have snowball fights without breaking the law.
Yeah, he learned about the law and realized that he had been breaking the law for the last 8 years, so he was ready to change that law.
I'm going to have a big snowball fight. I'm going to invite all my friends over, and we're going to have a big, huge snow. The whole town.
I think Dane's a great young man, and there's going to be a lot of excitement in his future for sure. He's going to be the next president of the United States.
So the small town of Severance, it's in Colorado in the United States. But here's the best part about the story. When the law was overturned, the board members apparently asked him who he wanted to hit first with a snowball, now that he could legally do it, and he pointed directly at his 4-year-old brother.
Nice. I'm a little conflicted here. I mean, cute kid, precocious, and I don't know if I should admit this, but I grew up in a very snowy part of Canada, and I cannot throw. I do not have the skills to throw, so I actually would embrace a snowball fighting ban. I don't know.
Did you notice there was no snow anywhere, though? That like someone was handing him pre-made snowballs? Yes. I'm not really sure. He's going to have to wait. Apparently snow is slated for next week. So anyway, I applaud any sort of snowball fight that involves a sibling. That's the National for December 4th. Good night, everybody.
Good night.